welcome back to the Doom 3 commentary, and today I go grappling with Local Off. Yes, hello, I'm Skully the Metalhead, and we are back with Doom 3, a part which is being recorded in October, the month of Halloween. Ooh, spooky shit on Halloween. And yeah, it's a beautiful day right now, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and I'm sitting inside recording Doom 3. What has my life become? Well, it's just crumbled. Kinda like the monorail bridge, as you can see there. But yes, we are currently entering the facility which houses the monorail, mono doll. I probably would have edited that in, but the interwebnets is currently down, hence why I decided to be productive and record some Doom 3. It's gonna be fun on the bun. But yeah, in today's part we actually have a new enemy type coming into the fray. I think that might be two, although I'm gonna have to check the parts of that. But yeah, new enemy types are abound in this area. And again, although it does say we're entering the monorail skybridge, there's also a section to be said about Pinky! Well, not about Pinky specifically, but yeah, it's kind of two sections in one, really. One of which is kind of like a waste facility, which deals with like a lot of chemical toxins and that. But there is also the, monorail skybridge. Even though this isn't exactly taking us directly to there, it's kind of more of a scenic route really, but I think I'll get more into that as we go on. But unfortunately, we are getting closer to a certain enemy type which I really can't stand because they're just so small and annoying. And if you thought the spiders were bad, well, you haven't seen shit, mister. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Revenant. One of the, actually I think it's one of the first bit of concept art enemies that I think we saw with the new 2016 Doom game, actually. And again, that's something I still have yet to play as of this point, because again, it looks really, really fun. And yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it as well, as I brought up last part, which, I want to play, but I don't have the money for a PlayStation 4. They tease me. But anyway, and as far as the Revenant's Pinky! Actually, no, the Revenant doesn't have a pinky, or at least a flesh one. But yeah, as far as the Revenant's concerned, in terms of tactics, it's actually relatively easy to avoid its attacks. I mean, again, if you're good at circle strafing, then you should be relatively fine. Although, they do hit you pretty hard, so just be on the lookout for their missiles. Although that being said, you should have a relatively easy time depending upon which gun you use. Again, I honestly recommend using either the plasma rifle or the chain gun, because that's what usually works best for me. Although, I suppose you could try grenades as well. But I find grenades are more or less there to just scatter the herd, really. Which I guess is kind of the point of grenades, as the explosive weapon. Of course, this enemy is... the enemy? Fuck. Of course, the area is still littered with, typical imps and all that kind of stuff, but again, it's in this area where we do see a nice bit of enemy variety, which just kind of adds on more and more layers. Of course, as I brought up last part, I would have liked to have seen at least a few more UAC soldiers, based upon how many, based upon the distress signal that we sent out. Okay, that's not scary at all. But yeah, again, I brought it up last part and I'll bring it up again. I still think that the distress signal would have been a nice way to, change up the gameplay a little bit. Like add more enemies and at the same time giving you a bit of a harder difficulty. Whilst also, giving you the impression that you're not quite as alone as you thought, for better or for worse, with, UAC soldiers still around the place. And by that I mean, the people who aren't possessed. I suppose another thing I could bring up that's still somewhat Doom related is that I recently rewatched the Doom movie. The one with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and honestly, again, my initial thoughts on it was that it was one of the worst video game adaptations of all time, and again, as an adaptation it still is, but honestly, its overall plot, and I mean in a general sense, it's not entirely bad. I mean, again, I wasn't exactly expecting anything high art, but again, outside of the omission of hell, which I find completely fucking baffling, I think the basic plot, the basic plot of the movie does serve its purpose well. I just wonder why they omitted hell, which is Pinky! I don't know. It's just one of the biggest, flaws in the movie, because again, hell is a very important aspect of Doom, as you could clearly fucking tell. It just annoys me that they didn't Pinky! Actually, they did have Pinky in the movie, which was actually one of the coolest scenes that, like when you have Doom Guy fighting off Pinky in that movie, which was amazing. Anyway, aside from Pinky attacking you, you got to use a chainsaw, you got to cut its legs in half, which was actually part of a wheelchair, since there was a guy in there actually called Pinky. He also made fun of a Japanese guy who just left him for dead. His name was Mac. I don't know, the Doom movie had its goofy moments, but at the same time I do think its general plot would have served the series well. It's just that it focused too much on genetics, which really just... it's made it feel like I was cashing in on the Resident Evil movies that were coming out at the time, which, in and of themselves, I don't think really had a good reputation for game fans. Not really sure about the critical audience either, but then again, that's the kind of risk you run with adaptations. Anyway, more zombie killing. I don't really have much to say for this area. Again, the lighting is still fairly ambient, although I still think that Doom 3 Vanilla, I say Vanilla, but I just mean the original version, I think it handles the lighting situation a lot better, because again, you saw in the whole They Took My Baby scene where I put the original there in place of the Big Friendly Giant edition. I don't know, I feel as if that one... And again, I'm not sure whether or not this was relative to the PCs of the time, or if this is just merely a difference for the console versions that can't be recaptured in, well, modern hardware. I don't know, I just feel as if the lighting was a little bit darker in a lot of places, and especially with the whole gimmick of, shifting your flashlight to the gun. Kinda get the feeling that the original was handled better. But then again, as I also mentioned, the BFG edition is also well worth your time, because again, it does contain the original Doom 1 and 2 copies. It's, it's a pretty good deal, and I do recommend you pick it up. And of course we have more Revenants. And of course, as you can see here, if only those steps weren't broken, and if only we could just climb up them, but no, we apparently can't because Doom Guy can't climb for some reason. He's gotta carry weapons around because he's a soldier. Seriously, man, I think you could easily just jump up there and just go on your merry way. But no, we must arbitrarily extend game time. And I have run out of Doom topics to bring up. Oh, alright. So yeah, we gotta clean up the goop. A section that's so arbitrary it makes me feel like I'm playing in the game, as I was cleaning up. But yeah, we gotta clean up the toxic sludge shit, and we'll be good to go. Although, onto more horror-related topics, I've recently been playing the survival horror video game. I say survival horror, but it's also got a lot of stealth elements to it, but yeah, Forbidden Siren, or Siren as it's just known as in America. Recently got around to playing that. A very, very methodical game. Like, I mean, again, I went into Siren expecting Silent Hill since it was made by Kichiro Toyama. And again, I'm probably completely butchering that name, and I can't quite remember his name dead offhand. He directed the first Silent Hill game. But yeah, I like a lot of the horror in that one. Like, that is intense shit. And again, it's a very trial and error kind of game, and again, I wouldn't recommend you walk into Forbidden Siren expecting Silent Hill. But again, I really like how a lot of its aesthetics are handled, like especially with the Shibito and how, you have to predict their patterns in order to, sneak past and get around them. And again, it's quite methodical while still maintaining an atmosphere despite, the trial and error gameplay being inherently video gamey, to put it bluntly. But again, it's something nice about that game which I can really appreciate. Again, it did earn a lot of criticism from a lot of people that the trial and error gameplay kind of ruined the atmosphere. But for me, it still works relatively well. But we have a video disc coming up, so I will shut up, and then probably continue my tangent about Forbidden Siren later, so let's take a listen.
This is the audio log of Nicholas Edgway, member of UAC Mars Hazmat Response Team, dated October 1st, 2145. We have concluded that the Martian atmosphere is wreaking havoc on the exhaust valve seals in the standard number 5 disposal drums. The engineers cannot explain the high level of contaminants in our internal atmosphere. The air scrubbers and filtration systems all seem to be operating at normal levels, yet a small layer of particulate is making it into the storage areas. That is what caused the lockdown yesterday. EAP Director Charles Hollis informs me that the personnel won't be harmed by these contaminants in the air, but we've seen that they do cause a corrosive reaction when introduced to the rubber compounds used in the storage systems. Effective immediately, all number 5 disposal drums must be locked away in at least a Class 2 rated transport medium. Assessment ends.
You know, a lot of what he actually talks about does come up in Resurrection of Evil, and I think even in the Lost Mission, actually. I'd say a little bit more in the Lost Mission as well, because you actually get to see the result of what happens with that. Again, he was mostly talking about the yellow barrels that you were seeing around the place, but again, you actually see a lot of the corrosive materials appear in the suits. Because again, there are also some hazmat suit zombies which do make their appearance in the DLC. But again, it is some really interesting stuff to hear about, and again, like, when I first played this, I initially thought that the contaminant might have been the demons, but then I, began to think, and it was like, oh, it was actually the corrosive material. So yeah, bit of a dumb move on my part, but hey. It was at least something to think about. Anyway, back to my Forbidden Siren love first. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that, like, Forbidden Siren as a game is really... It's not going to be for everyone, but again, I do really like the stealth elements in it, and again, my only real problem with the game is honestly the AI at times. Like, if you have an AI partner following you around, like, again, you can't really do anything unless, of course, you have a weapon, and even then, like, you're a normal kid, so you can't really just wander around and start hitting things and just... Like, I mean, even by Silent Hill standards, like, I mean, Forbidden Siren is relatively limited in the scale of its weaponry. In fact, honestly, if I was to rate Forbidden Siren, to me, that game is everything that Silent Hill Shattered Memories should have been. Again, that's just me, though. Because, I mean, like, a lot of its stealth mechanics, again, it does work fairly well, and, like, I mean, even with the sight-jacking mechanic, like, if you wanted to make that absent, again, it all makes for a very methodical game, and you have to work out patterns with, the Shibito enemies, and, again, all of it is just a really clever and well-thought-out game. But I'm not gonna lie, it does frustrate me at times, especially with certain areas, and especially the Shibito who have guns, because again, for whatever reason, they seem to have impeccable aim and can just shoot you at almost any time. And also that, in the frame of time in which you have to avoid them with, their regular habits and patterns, again, it can get very, very narrow. And again, I don't think I'm even halfway through the game, because, like, as far as I'm concerned, there are, like, 3 days in which the Forbidden Siren takes place, and again, I'm still at day 1. I think I'm at least, like, halfway through day 1. So yeah, should probably get back to that game, though. But of course, I do have other games that I've been playing at the moment. I've actually recently been playing through Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, the video game, which was, again, say what you will about the movie, but the video game was surprisingly fun. In fact, what is that about horrible movies getting good video games? I mean, it happened with Ghost Rider, The Matrix, well, let's say The Matrix Path of Neo, but, Ghost Rider, X-Men Origins Wolverine, now Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Ghost Rider? I think I might have already brought that one up, shit. I don't know, man, it's just weird, In any case, is this the area where we... Actually, no, I think we already took out the 2 pinkies that were in here. Unless, of course, I am mistaken, in which case you will hear my familiar shout of... Huh. No pinkies. Damn it. I'm sad now. I wanted to scream, Pinky! Because that's what I usually do whenever I see a pinky. Damn. I didn't think I'd run out of topics. Well... Again, I say that, but again, since the internet's out, I can't really bring out any fun facts on the Revenants or any other creatures. And also for the fact that some of these parts are going to get quite beefy. Particularly when we get to the Delta Labs section, holy crap. That imp was kinda scary. But yeah, since we cleared out all the toxic sludge we can go through, and yeah, about the beefy parts, I'm going to have to think of more commentary. Because again, like, for the most part of this Doom 3 commentary, I've mostly been pissing about talking about other games aside from Doom 3. But I guess this series also runs at the cost of that, in that it has very little mythos to really speak of. And again, it's especially daunting because, again, Doom 3 was probably the game which expanded the most upon that kind of thing. Which is kind of sad because, you know, again, Doom 2016, from what I've heard of it, again, it's returning back to the roots, and again, it's all the better for it, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I'll always say that Doom's better as a fast-paced run-and-gun game as opposed to a survival horror game. But I do kind of wish that it would expand upon its lore a little bit more, and again, especially with, you know, what Doom 3 did with the Resurrection of Evil, and also with how Pinky was handled, because, you know, Pinky used to be a man, at least in the movie. No, but seriously, another Pinky distracts me from my conversation tangent. But again, you know, just expanding upon the general lore, as I'll bring up later on when we get into the Delta Labs, because there's certain plot items which actually become quite important. In fact, even more so in Lost Mission and Resurrection of Evil. Yeah, it seems to be a little bit more of a rock formation. Don't really see these until the excavation site. And of course we see the Trites which have made a return for some reason. I know, I guess the eggs have finally hatched and are now rising to take vengeance upon their mother, because, you know, we just kind of killed that person. So that's another thing I want to bring up. If I have any people who watch my channel specifically for the Doom stuff, I have a question. Would you like to have seen the Arachnotron, or, again, the Spider Mastermind enemies? Because, yeah, that's curious, because, like, I mean, I do think that the flesh-like enemies do kind of work for this game, especially with some of the aesthetics. But I do wonder whether or not the techno-organic Spider Mastermind or the Arachnotrons would have been a better fit for this game. Because Doom 3 seems very industrial and technology-based, so I'd have to wonder whether or not they would have been a better fit, you know, than the Vagary or the Trites. And I think it's this area that made me think that we're going to encounter a certain other enemy a little bit earlier than we thought. But, yeah, that's safe for next part, as I found out. And again, we're doing some duck and cover gameplay. Okay, I just took a quick little break, had a bit of a drink of the water. The internet came back on, thankfully. And I, well, in the last 3 minutes that I have this part, I can actually bring up some Revenant trivia. Yeah, apparently, if another Hellspawn accidentally shoots a Revenant, then the Revenant actually has a little AI quirk where it will then attack them if the player is out of sight. Which is, you know, actually pretty cool, because it shows monsters battling across each other. Which I guess kind of adds a weird little dynamic between the two, because again, you know, the demons are apparently all united against you, because Dr. Petruga says so. Again, I'll probably spoil that, but at this point I think it's pretty obvious who the bad guy is in all this. But of course, we now retrieved another personal data assistant, which I believe contains a video disc. Well, of course it does contain a video disc, which I think I might have actually picked up a little bit earlier, but my memory is faulty. Anyway, to pad out commentary just a little bit more. I could read out the UAC research notes, but that's covered in the Delta Labs. Yeah. In the E3 2002 trailer of Doom 3, the Revenant was actually shown to be acting similar to its original Doom counterpart, with the Revenant then punching the player and then just running at him. Actually, kind of in the reverse order of that. I'm sorry, my grandma is horrid. Actually, I believe they debuted in Doom 2, if I remember correctly. Huh. Okay, that's about it. No more trivia. I'll just have to pad things out. But we haven't got long to go, because I believe we are heading outside. Yes, that is right, outside into the air of space. I believe we'll also be taking on some Caco demons out there. Now then, off into the beautiful red surface of Mars, where we will in no way encounter a total recall situation. Actually, I think I might have brought this up last part, but I wonder when space travel to Mars will be possible. I can believe last estimates were like in 2050, I think. I don't know. It'd be cool to see what happens if Doom 3 will actually happen. Ooh. Yeah, probably not, but still, it's fun to entertain the notion of space travel to Mars. Anyway, and this area I actually didn't know where to go the first time through, so I had a lot of trouble just navigating my way around, and I didn't know you had to climb up because all those damn planks and shit look the same. Anyway, we rush off to the airlock and get inside before we choke to death on space. In any case, the part is over now, so I am Skully, keep a new metal, we will destroy the Kaku Demon, and next time we will be heading into recycling. See you later.